I was 43 years old when I was diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer. I'm married, I have 4 children. At the time, they ranged from 16 to 7 years old. This is the last thing I expected. I'm a police officer, I'm in relatively good health. I never had any problems. I never was really sick with anything other than a flu. But I noticed that I had a cold that cleared up, but my cough stayed with me. I went in to get checked out. The first thing I had done was a chest x-ray, which showed that I was clear, that my lungs were clear. I had no problems in my chest. My doctor recommended that he draw some blood. At that time, he drew blood, and he recommended that I go home and we wait for the results of that blood test. Well, a day later, he called me back up on the telephone while I was actually on the golf course golfing and said I needed to come back because he believed the lab made a mistake, that there was no way possible that this was my blood work. I knew, being in law enforcement, being around hospitals, being around blood draws, that something bad was happening. It was very rare that that would happen in the lab. I felt, or I thought. After I went back the following day, we drew blood a second time. Within 3 hours, my doctor called me up and said he needed to come in. I needed to come in. I needed to talk to him. First thing he said when he walked in the examining room was that this could be something very minor or something very serious. He thought it probably was an ulcer, and I told him that I wasn't stressed out, that I didn't feel that, an ulcer, I had an ulcer, that this would cause bleeding. He said I was highly anemic and that something was going on and I needed to get another further test, a battery of tests done. He recommended an endoscopy. He thought it was an ulcer. He thought that would probably show that what the problem was. We set it up about a week later. I went for the endoscopy and that was clear. The GI doctor that I went for the endoscopy said, well, it's not anything down, your throat or your stomach area. He recommended we do a colonoscopy. At that point, I became highly concerned. I still didn't feel that, I still didn't think it was cancer at the time. You never believe or think you're going to get cancer. I never believed that it would be cancer, but I knew that something was going on. I was 43 years old, and I knew that my blood work should not be so out of line. So I went in for the colonoscopy. I had the colonoscopy. The doctor came back into the room and he calmly said to me that he had found a tumor in my right ascending colon. At that time, at that point, I just couldn't believe it. My wife was in the room with me. I just looked at her. She looked at me. I was 43 years old. I did not know how to act. I was shocked. He told me he had scheduled a CAT scan for me the following day, and I had to go get a CAT scan. He wanted to find out how far along the tumor was, if it had, I guess, invaded other organs. The worst thing I did when I went home is that I obviously started, probably like a lot of other people, I got on the internet and started reviewing colon cancer, read about the stages of colon cancer, and absolutely, better terms, freaked out. I was highly scared. Couldn't believe it that I had cancer.
For an interactive tool to learn more about your colon cancer and your personalized treatment options, go to mycoloncancercoach.org.